Good evening, good evening, good evening, everyone. It is your girl, Marcie Thomas, founder of Brown Girl Collective and Live Well Sister, and I am really excited to be here with you again for another great show. So as you're coming on in the room, please let us know if it's your first time joining or where you're joining us from, just so we can know who all is here, and we really look forward to having a very dynamic conversation with everyone who's in the space today. And of course, if you're not watching live and catching it on the replay, still feel free to drop a line to let us know who you are and where you're joining us from, just so you can be a part of this community. So for those of you who may not know, Brown Girl Collective has been around for 14 years, actually, as of July the 6th. And in the last couple of years, I've really been doing things that allow us to come into these types of forums and have great conversations with dynamic, bold, brilliant, and beautiful Black women. Okay, welcome, Tracy. We see you coming in from Maryland. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So tonight I am really excited because, as I mentioned, I'm in the ATL right now, but for 10 years of my life, I lived in the Detroit area, which had family members in the area and all of that. And so I have a real affinity and love for Motown, for the Motor City, for the Big D, all of that. And so our guest tonight is representing Detroit quite well. So our guest for the evening is Satori Shakoor, who is a master storyteller, writer, and social entrepreneur. She is the artistic and program director of the Secret Society of Twisted Storytellers, a live curated storytelling event. She designs and facilitates workshops in the art and craft of storytelling for organizations, corporations, schools, and faith-based organizations. And she also offers private coaching and story direction to individuals. Now, tonight, she's especially here to talk about her show that's sold out for the first night. That'll be starting here in a couple of days, and that is Confessions of a Menopausal Femme Fatale, which is going to be running in at the Detroit Public Theater from July 1st through July 23rd. So without any further delay, let's welcome Satori to the room. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Marcie. I love your opening with all that beautiful melanin.
Yes, it's all about the melanin over here.
Yes.
We love to see your fro and your earrings. You are representing quite well. So welcome, first of all.
Thank you.
And congratulations on your upcoming show.
Thank you. I'm so excited about it. It's been 6 years in the development of
Wow.
it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's something. Yeah. And that's the thing. Well, just that right off the top, everybody, if you are in the process of working on something, sometimes it takes a while. So never to give up and just keep things going. So we are going to get into a little bit of what the show is about, of course, but let's just start out by talking about how you got involved in making storytelling a career.
Well, let me see. I guess I came from a long line of storytellers. You know, it's just a form, a way these old Black women that raised me from the South communicated, uneducated, but like a PhD in storytelling. They could make you see what they were saying, you know. And so it was just a way I grew up. If you grow up speaking French, if you grow up listening to French, so that's how it was. But I didn't know that it was anything. It's like breathing. Nobody, oh, look at you. You're so talented at breathing.
Right.
It's just part of who you are.
Right.
So when Wall Street crashed and Too Big to Fail failed, I found myself, like a lot of artists, in dire straits. All my investments had crashed. There weren't any theater jobs, and I had spent my life building up to the point where I could support myself as a working actor.
Right.
And I didn't want to go back to temping in offices and things like that. And I just didn't know what to do. And a lot of times when you don't know what to do, something else, the universe takes over and directs you. So I made a vow that I would do what I love to do for the rest of my life, no matter what. And no matter what, gentrified me out of my loft, was into a bedroom in my sister's house, terrified of an uncertain future. And then a couple of months later, a few months later, some friends of mine invited me to a Moth Story Slam in Detroit. And I put my name in the hat. I told a story and I won. And so then I came back and they took me to the Grand Slam, which is the next level after you win. I didn't win. I came in second, but for some reason the Moth just collapsed. They just walked up to me and said, "Look, can you tell your story at the Fillmore Theater next month?" The
Wow.
Theater has about 2,000 seats. And then they said, and on top of that, can you host the new Story Slam for the Moth in Ann Arbor? You know where Ann Arbor is.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, because I made a bet. I said, I bet I can make more money telling stories than if I worked a job. Mm-hmm. So I told a story at the Fillmore and the folks went nuts. After that, the Moth was flying me around the country, telling stories. They asked me to come to New York to the Players to tell a story there. Then they asked me to come to New York and host the season opener of the Moth. Then they asked me to do the Moth Ball at the Hudson Theater, where I shared the same stage with Adam Gopnik, who writes for the New Yorker, Richard Price, who is a screenwriter. He wrote a lot of The Wire, and Garrison Keillor, and then it aired on National Public Radio, and then people started emailing me, thanking me for telling my story like it was a service. And I told the story of grief and loss. I told the story of losing my mom.
Yes.
And then 9 months later, losing my son. And I told a story of that and coming back from that. That's when I began to understand this is your calling. This is your
right.
This is what you're supposed to do. And but the Moth can't sustain you. I mean, you tell a story, but I wasn't even thinking about how was I going to make money, because I knew as a social entrepreneur, you don't make money.
Right.
But I love the idea of, wow, my story was healing me and forgiving me. And I began to wonder if it could do that for me. Could it do the same for the city of Detroit? Because Detroit was coming back from what I was coming back from. We had emergency management.
Right.
We had water shutoffs, the Flint water crisis.
Mm-hmm.
People were moving out of Detroit to other states to find work. And I just kept wondering, well, if gentrification was happening everywhere.
Right.
And I just wondered, if storytelling could heal me, could it heal the city of Detroit? And so therefore I started to think, oh, what if there was a place people could gather to tell stories? Now, you and I, we're of a certain age. So when we dream, our dreams are way bigger.
Right.
So it's like, I'll do it at the Gym Theater. That's 500 people. I didn't know that people had to learn what storytelling was.
Right,
so
that's true.
No money, because I was living now in the basement of a friend's house. So I thought, oh God, I don't have any money. But then the idea was so delicious to me. So I sold tickets in advance and sold out 45 seats at this little space. And as a social entrepreneur, as a founder of an organization like yours, and to sustain it, there it's more to it than just you use every little thing you can.
Right.
Keep pushing you. Oh, it's sold out. Yay. Oh, you got to find another venue because this one is too small.
Yeah, it's too
Yeah.
small.
Oh
Hmm.
my God. Oh, so all these challenges, but you use a kind word, a little push. You use anything that you can to keep yourself going, and um, and that's what I did. Now it's 11 years later, and we have sold out audiences. The During COVID, we went online. We did our show through Zoom and learned a lot about. Oh, shoot, we can have people from all over the world come and
Right.
contribute to the platform. And matter of fact, in 2018, we have a YouTube channel, and a peacekeeper from the United Nations named Joe Washington from Chicago. He lives in Italy now, but he was living in the Netherlands. Asked, could I bring the Secret Society's Twisted Storytellers to the Netherlands to
Mm.
address issues of racism? And my husband and I, we went, and they did 4 episodes of the Secret Society Twisted Storytellers in the Netherlands, and they featured immigrants, Syrian refugees,
Wow.
and dealt with it like that. And so that was a great honor, you know. So
Well, that's quite powerful. I mean, there's so much in what you just shared there. I mean, the whole thing of having a dream and, starting small and, allowing it to grow from there. The whole point of doing something that you feel passionate about and that's something that really means something to you. Because I think that a lot of times it's easy to what can I say, follow a trend or do what we think is popular because we see everybody else doing this thing and that looks like the thing I should jump onto because I can make money from it. But that might not be where your heart, what makes your heart beat faster or what keeps you up at night or, wakes you up early in the morning. So I just find it so powerful that you did that, even in a time when life wasn't necessarily great. You
yes,
held on to it, and that means a lot, just to hear that part of your story.
thank you. Hmm.
Just to know that. And another thing that, well, I didn't mention it in your bio, but there is another thing I wanted to talk about, and then we can get into the current show and, maybe segue into some other things about the society as a whole. But you were a part of a popular funk band.
Yes, yes.
Yes, and you have changed your name and rebranded yourself, so to speak. So tell us a little bit about that, because I have found that a lot of powerful storytellers, they do end up changing their name at some point in time in their journey.
Well, yes, I was Jeanette Magruder when I was singing as one of the brides of Funkenstein with George Clinton in Parliament Funkadelic. I sang with the group, recorded for years with the group, and then in 1982, I joined like a Buddhist, and the guru offered me the name Satori.
Okay.
And Satori means awakening, first stage of enlightenment. And
Mm.
I said yes. And I'd married a man with the last name of Shakoor. And I took his name. Although we divorced, I kept the name because
Mm.
the name meant gratitude.
Mm.
And so I wanted to live into it. There were 2 names that I could live into for the rest of my life.
Right.
And so my name is always calling me to be, always calling me to to wake up, to be
Mm.
awakened, and to be grateful. So I took
That's
that.
that's powerful because I know, as I said, a lot of people use different names or they change their names along the way as a part of their rebirth,
Yeah.
as a part of becoming who they are, of moving into a new space. And when I heard that, I was like, oh wow, that's great just to know that you did that as a part of being able to tell your story. Because there are stories that are attached to a certain name or set of names, but then when you can choose to name yourself, that allows you to redefine, who you are. And I think that's a great part of your story.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, it's cleansing to be able to change your name because it gives you a blank canvas. So because I accomplished a lot of things as Jeanette Magruder. You know, I came into Parliament Funkadelic at the very height of their fame. 20,000, 80,000, chasing limos, the best hotels, touring Europe, all, just, Legaspi designing us like they did LaBelle. I mean,
Mhm.
all of the things,
Mhm.
and that was great. I made all those accomplishments, and I'm proud and so grateful to have been, as a young lady, young woman, being able to see success at that level, and then to bounce right back down and build it from my own experience and my own passion and my own purpose. Um, Not to ever deny that
Oh,
what Jeanette Magruder accomplished, but it's great to see, oh, what nobody can do. You know,
right. Yes. Someone that no one knows.
yes.
Exactly, and of your own accord, on your own accord, that speaks volumes that you were able to do that. And I am a big fan of P Funk, so yes. So it's like, okay. But
Yes.
let's talk about Confessions of
Matter
a
of fact, I had George Clinton at the Secret Society of Twisted Storytellers in
Wow.
2015. It took 2 years to get him.
Okay. Okay. Well,
It
that's good.
it just so happened that when we, in 2015, we had become big enough, and the
Hmm.
Detroit Institute of Arts approached us, hey, can you come do storytelling over here?
Hmm.
And it just so happened that the DIA offered us the film theater, which seats about 1,000 people.
Right. Right.
And George had said yes at the same time. And so it was like we sold that out. It was historical. They never had three generations of every ethnicity, every color hair, every funky thing in
Hmm.
the museum, and it was a absolutely wonderful evening. We had Dick Gregory on our show.
Hmm.
We've had Dr. George Faison, who choreographed The Wiz and so many other things. So we've grown, and so we hope to have everybody on our show telling a
Oh
story,
yeah.
because
Absolutely.
everybody has that gift within their lived experience. They
Hmm.
don't even know that their lived experience packaged as a story and told in 10, 20, 15 minutes can shift consciousness. It has that possibility. And there's so much to give through your experience, through storytelling, and people don't even know they have the power to make a difference in other people's lives just by having the courage to tell your own story.
Right. And it's funny. I was going to go someplace else, but since you went there, I am going to say that that was one of the things that, as I was just thinking about ideas and why it is important, the work that you do to help people tell stories, not just you telling your own, but helping others, is that it is a thing of being able to have that courage, to be authentic and transparent and to stand or, sit, whatever the case may be, in front of a group of people and just be honest and tell your truth and speak your truth. It does require a lot of courage, and it's really powerful when people are able to do that. Just a few days ago, I was talking to a family member about another family member who has lost a husband when he wasn't even 40 yet, and now she's remarried and has another husband who's really sick. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, so it's a possibility that she could end up being widowed twice. And I'm like, wow, what an experience. But then in my head, I was like, what a story. That was the first thing. I mean, not that she would even be thinking about that right now, but if it ever got to that point where she wanted to, what a story she would be able to tell, to have lost, to lose a love of your life, a couple of times, that's quite a story.
Hmm. It is. And one of the things I do as a curator for the live show is I realize everybody has a story, more than one, but everyone does not know how to tell a story.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of my work, is that I train people how to tell their story. Everyone who takes the stage, I work with them 1 hour each week for 4 weeks,
Okay.
rehearsal before they take the stage, not only to show them, because there's some natural storytellers,
Right.
but also to um, encourage them through the process because they're afraid.
Mm,
Even the most experienced public speakers, when you're telling your own truth, you're setting yourself up for judgments. That's what you
right. That's
want
true.
people to judge me. But people, if they're not up there, they can't really judge you because
Right.
they're not up there. They
Right.
can only admire you really deep down. So I encourage people. I'm the first audience. And so
Hmm.
I help them tell their story so that when they get that applause at the end and they grow tall, I just don't leave them out there. And,
Right.
and it's a quality thing. I want each storyteller to be able to give their best, because storytelling, it's the most effective delivery system of information and ideas.
Yes.
It's a tool, a form of communication, and you can use it to get a job. You can use it to get a date. You can use it to teach your kids. It's user friendly.
Hmm.
So the more skilled people are at telling their stories, it should be taught in school. How
I
to
would
teach.
agree.
Yeah.
I would agree, to be able to tell an authentic story, because as you mentioned, like somebody who is like a speaker, it's a different skill set.
Yeah.
Even though speakers do generally have to tell some type of story, it's
Yes.
still a different skill set.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. And you want to be able to connect, because
Hmm.
once you connect, then you're one thing.
Right.
The listener and the teller become one thing locked in this world that you're creating through your story.
Hmm.
And in that, you can't fail. So you want to be able to tell that story and connect immediately with your audience.
Right. In your TED talk, you did say something about, and I promise we're going to move on, but these are some of the things I was going to ask anyway. But you do talk about the power of the listener, because I was talking to somebody the other day and I said, yeah, people might hear you, but that doesn't mean that they're really listening.
Yeah. Well, yes. Well, listening is a voluntary, generous act of kindness.
Hmm.
What the listener, people don't really, listening is I call it a revolutionary act.
Hmm.
It's love at the highest level, really, because
Yes.
what you're doing is you're opening yourself, you're postponing your judgments, and you're allowing and granting someone else's experience. You're not assessing, you're allowing
Hmm.
them to exist in your listening. And not only are you giving that, when you give that, the teller is encouraged. They
Hmm.
become freer, they go deeper, they give you more. Because how many people really, really have the experience of being heard? I mean, you walk around and you go, I told you that yesterday. I told you I was going to be doing that. Oh, I didn't hear you. They
Hmm.
weren't really listening. But to be able to be heard, I mean, deeply heard, is a gift. And we all don't get to have that gift.
Hmm.
So being able to tell your story, you're giving a gift, but the listener is giving you one back.
Right.
So it's this soulmate experience.
Yes, and as you're saying that, I'm like, I am guilty, and I think a lot of us are guilty nowadays. We're multitasking, we're on our phones, we're doing other stuff, and I am guilty because my mom and I talk every day, and there's times, well, didn't I tell you? Like maybe you did, but in the back of my mind, like I know I wasn't. I heard her, but I wasn't necessarily listening, and vice versa.
Well, all of us, if we want to make ourselves guilty, uh, we don't have to. We can just say we're human,
Right.
and that listening is a skill,
Hmm.
and storytelling helps facilitate and develop that skill. So that's why not only are we developing storytellers through the Secret Society of Twisted Storyteller, we're developing listeners, people with attention spans that can last longer than 13, 14 minutes.
Right.
You know,
Right. It's that nowadays because people are in this TikTok mindset. If it's more than 90 seconds, you start to lose them
yeah,
in a
yeah,
lot of cases. In a lot of cases.
yeah,
But speaking of stories and a storytelling journey, Confessions of a Menopausal Femme Fatale,
yeah.
starting in a couple of days there at the Detroit Public Theater. So tell us a little bit of what that journey. You said it took you 6 years to get there first. And
For the writing to develop.
okay,
But,
so
but at age 45,
uh-huh.
I wanted to tell a story, write about this perimenopause, but
Mm-hmm.
I had no perspective. Because I was just beginning to experience the little symptoms, a little hot flash, a little mood swing, a little, ooh, I just told the truth. I said exactly what I meant.
Right.
If I don't recognize myself, and I didn't know how to talk about it yet, because I didn't. And then when I asked around older women who I thought would have gone through this stage of life, they either didn't remember, like my mother, I don't remember. I'm
Mm.
like, what? Or, oh, I'm too young for that. Or some, and then I realize when I'm going around to different groups of women now who are talking about menopause and want to know about it, it wasn't any information. It wasn't a thing. Now the demographic of women from 45 to 65 are the
Mm.
largest demographic of people in the United States.
Right.
So we're demanding to know because we're in power positions like you, like the Vice President Kamala Harris,
Mm-hmm.
you know, all these CEOs. We're the largest group and we're becoming a squeaky wheel. We
Right.
we so it's people are just starting to talk about it, but then I had nothing, and I knew I was going through this period from Oprah, and
Mm.
so I decided, okay, I'm not going to take anything. I'm just going to go through it and write about it, be present and write about it. And so I started to write about it and develop this piece 6 years ago. So it's been through a lot of developments. It's a stand-up storytelling concert. So it
Okay.
involves music, comedy, tragedy, all of the juicy things of great storyteller telling. It's my true and personal story, and it's my confessions because we as women,
Mm-hmm.
we are socialized. When we come out pink, we're socialized to perform, perform to the others' expectations.
Girl. Yes.
We're socialized to dance and twirl for the male patriarchal lens. And so when we get to be a certain age, and we don't, and our breasts aren't perky, and we uh, our we're vaginal dryness and all these things, we're told, and we often buy into, we don't have as much value as we did when we were twerking at 20.
Mm.
and
Right.
and I'm like, this show is a protest, and not even really, I'm not even putting my energy in protesting. It's saying, oh, no,
Right.
my value is just beginning. I have a perspective now. All of this life experience, this wisdom, when people say, oh, I wish I knew then, uh, now what I knew then, well, you know now what you know now.
Right.
You can be then now.
Right.
Because women don't have to be old now.
Right.
We're not our mothers, we're not our grandmothers, and we're not our great grandmothers. We
Right.
are 21st century women. We go to the gym,
Mm-hmm.
look good. We can, youth is a state of mind. I
Right.
think this should be a rite of passage. Just, we should not be shamed for this stage of life. We should be celebrating. Oh, wow, we're here. We can
Right.
have as much sex as we want to and not worry about wang.
Yes.
And
Yes.
at this stage of life, if we knew that this was what, if we had more information, more knowledge, if we would talk about it, and not stigmatize it or make it taboo. We could share the information, share the wealth, and therefore be responsible for the things going on. So if you have vaginal dryness and you still have sexual desire, you don't have to give up that part of your life. You don't have to get a divorce because you're having mood swings and you hate your husband. You can go, oh, I hate my husband because I'm going through this, and I can say, honey, can you support me? And so a lot of things that break down, it's breaking down for lack of information, for lack of not being able to be responsible. So I want to tell this story, come out and tell this story so that we can start these conversations and women can feel comfortable in the workplace, wherever they are, because a woman from 45 to 65 is everywhere you can think of in society. We're embedded in every aspect of society, and we're going through these things and don't even know it, And we're having hot flashes, we're having mood swings, we're breaking up with friends. But what it is that, oh, I'm no longer this caterpillar.
Right.
I'm the butterfly now. But I don't recognize butterfly. And I want to hold on to this caterpillar because that's all I've known. But hey, it's like, no, the butterfly has to come out of that. It could be uncomfortable.
Right. And when you're saying that, it's might be kind of hard for you all to see, but this picture right here, I'm trying to point in the right spot. That is actually a picture that I painted. It is a woman with a big hair. There's like some gray in the hair, but she's got like butterfly wings. So as you say what you're saying, I'm like, yep. It's like she's got the big hair like you, and she's a mature woman she is now a butterfly. So I mean that what you're saying is so powerful that oftentimes we are in this cocoon and we feel like there are just so many things that when you're a younger woman that you're dealing with or trying to figure out, and of course every individual is different. I'm just by saying that, but for a lot of younger women, it's all about, when am I going to get married? When am I going to have a baby? How should I express myself, with sexuality, just all these different things that when you're young, you're trying to figure it out. And then as you get older, you have figured some of those things out. And maybe you just don't care as much about what other people are thinking about you. But then there is a piece of society that kind of wants to throw you away when you get past a certain age.
Yes. And no, don't to throw us away. And then there's a hormonal journey we take. We have our menses. We become menstrual. And that was a shame, like take your tampon, your Kotex, put it in a steel box, and then sneak to the ladies' room. All of these taboos and shaming things, and it's like there's a hormonal journey and it uses us. And so let us use it. So it uses us. We go through a period where our biological clock is ticking. And therefore there's this biological imperative to reproduce. And so, that's called being a cougar. That's called being a slut, a slut. And it's just I have an imperative to have a child. Even if you don't want a child, the hormones don't go, oh, she doesn't want a child. I'm not gonna make her want to have sex with every man she sees, Oh, he's so cute. You turn into 13 again. I hated Jimmy before, but now he's so cute. And he may be shorter. His voice sound like a little frog, but your hormones are turning Jimmy into a prince.
And it's so funny that you're saying that because, I'm never ashamed of saying my age. I am 56. I have already been through the menopause stuff. And I can tell y'all who are watching that once I got to the point where I knew that I couldn't have babies, it just something switched in my head.
You put them high heels on?
No, not even that. It was just like, now for me, it's kind of like, okay, how can I put it? I'm not so worried about the boys like I was, because before
Yeah,
it was like, oh, I gotta find somebody so I can have a baby, so I can be a mom, so I can da 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 da. But now it's like, yeah, I have to take you or leave you if it's not something that
yeah,
suits my needs in a multitude of ways. I don't have time for it. Wherein before
relax.
I might have put up with more crap because I was trying to work with somebody.
Yes.
And now it's like I don't have to work with that foolishness.
No, you can just relax and let it come to you.
Right, exactly, exactly. So I love that you said that, but that is so true. And for those who are following the channel on the channel on YouTube, specifically, you can look it up on Facebook as well. But a few months ago, I talked to Dr. Carmen McNeil, who talks about the seasons of life. And one of the things that she talks about is how we go through different phases and seasons in terms of our being a woman and our menstrual cycles and things like that, and how becoming a woman of menopausal age is a rite of passage, and how we don't always treat it as such, and how we have to start to rethink that. Just like we do certain things for our daughters or the young women in our lives when they start to have a period, there's a celebration and things of that nature that can happen when we get to the other end. So I love, Satori, that you are telling this story, because that's definitely in alignment.
Yes. And I talk about a lot of things in my story. I talk about postpartum depression, another thing that can happen to it happened to me, and
Mm-hmm.
that happens to women that we don't talk about, because again, we are socialized to be perfect mothers.
Mm-hmm.
We're just supposed to want. It's a natural thing to love our children, but so when you're going through postpartum and you're not having that bonding experience, and it's not going, and you look around and every other mother looks like, oh my God, they got it handled, you tend not to say anything. So
Mm-hmm.
I talk about things that people don't talk about, so that people can talk about them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is what it feels like, or this is what it unlocks something. And I can now talk. I can talk. I've told this story. I've just little excerpts of the story in different spaces. And all of a sudden, the women just start talking. They start talking about fibroids. They start talking about hysterectomy, all kinds of things that affect us uniquely as women that
Mm-hmm.
we don't say anything about. But if we did, there would be there would be such a community of support, of remedy, of there's an unimagined quality of life that's available to us if we were to break the silence and just put it out there and be who we are. you know
Mm-hmm.
Unimagined quality of life.
Mm-hmm. Because as you're saying that, one of the things that is popping in my mind, especially based upon some of the things that you're saying, you talk about in the show, that how many times that, and now right now I'm talking specifically about Black women, but it does pertain to women across the board, that because our voices aren't heard, that people don't want to believe us when certain things are going on in our bodies, or maybe there might be different types of remedies or things that can assist us, different healing modalities and stuff like that, that could potentially help us. But because either we don't know what to say, we're afraid to say, or people aren't really listening, that stuff doesn't get addressed properly. But if we do start to speak up and speak out and tell our stories and ask more questions and demand better answers.
Yes, we have to advocate for ourselves in health spaces, because as women of color, we often aren't taken serious. Oh, she doesn't know what she's talking about. Oh, she can handle that pain. I work with young mothers I work with the state of Michigan, Merck, and Simquick, and they're telling their birth stories and their experiences, and I'm helping them to do that because they're going to make a film.
Oh, wow.
And they want to be able to share this film with mothers, doulas, health professionals, doctors, OBs, so that they can hear this experience and making improvements in the medical professions. I'm also working with single fathers and fathers who want to change the narrative about Black men not wanting to take care of and men of color who don't want to take care of their kids, who don't want their kids. They're changing that narrative. So I work in a lot of spaces with people who recognize that telling their story can shift the way, because if there's an old Hopi native saying, he or she who tells a story rules the world. So if you don't tell your story, if you don't tell your own story, why I feel is important, why I teach it, is that you're just an extra in somebody else's story about you.
Ooh, that's a word right there. If you don't tell your own story, you're just an extra in someone else's story. That's powerful right there. And how many of us, do that, us in a broad sense, do that we don't stand up to tell our own story. I know I've been seeing this shirt or something going around that says main character energy. We need to have main character energy,
Exactly.
not sidekick,
Name
not
above
player. Main character energy. We definitely need to operate with more of that, and the power of telling our stories at all ages and stages.
Oh yes.
So, I wish I was in Detroit. I'm gonna put that back up for those who are in the Detroit area or have quick access to get over there, like if you're in Chicago or Cleveland or some of the other areas that you might be able to pop in and see the show. It's this weekend. You said Friday was sold out, but it's also...
Well, I have friends coming from New York,
right,
Kansas City, Toronto, Windsor, and I'm so excited that they're taking a road trip, and so it speaks to I have some great friends. I'm so excited to tell the story, but I want you to know that the live I'm making a film of it.
Okay, good.
Good. Going to be filmed. Good. And we're making a film of so it will distribute it and make it available to the world.
Well, that's good. That's good, because I was wondering about that, if it was going to be filmed. And everyone, you can see the flyer here from there. And if you're not on a phone watching, you can always try to scan that and be able to get that QR code to take you directly to purchase tickets. But yes, I just think that it's really good that you're doing that. I love the fact that this is, like a one-woman show, basically, which is good as well. So is this the first time that you have done like a one-woman show, or is something? Okay.
It's not my first. It's probably my fourth.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm a theater artist. I've been films, the theater. Theater is where I live, live performance. So this is I wrote this. I'm the executive producer. Wrote the book and the lyrics and music. And so this is my full self-expression, and I'm excited to see it developed. Jonathan Jewel Chatton is the director, and he's bringing a wonderful team of cameras and the whole thing. Where I just came from rehearsal from Detroit Public Theater, and it looks beautiful.
Oh.
And it's going to be great. And I'm so happy that it's happening. It's happening after 6 years of, you think it's ready, and then it's like, no. Oh no, COVID.
Yeah, COVID would have.
But COVID was a gift, really, and in a lot of ways. I mean, I lost friends and folks that I knew, and but what it did was, it was a reset. So there's before COVID and after COVID. And during COVID, you're in the house and you realize, let me work on this some more. And then you find some more creative ways to express the story. And then you get a dramaturg and they suggest things. And now it's gone from the page to the stage, to lights, to costume. And
That's really exciting. I'm excited for you and glad that it is going to be recorded since I'm no longer in Detroit and, wouldn't
Yes.
be able to make it this weekend. Do you ever think that outside of course, it being filmed, would you ever consider taking the show on the road?
Yeah. I'm going to submit it to the Los Angeles Women's Theater Festival.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've been invited by Adela Barnes to submit it for a couple of years now. I said it's not ready yet. It's not ready, but sure, I'm happy to do. But I'd love to. The reason I'm making a film is because it is 90 minutes,
Okay.
and it is. It's like a marathon. It's like running a triathlon.
I can imagine.
It's a mood swing. So it goes through so many emotional spaces,
Wow.
laughter, tragedy. It's always changing. So it can be very exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not something I would want to do every night, but would sure Samuel French can have it,
Mm.
and other actors can perform it.
Well, that sounds really exciting, especially since you say you're singing, you're acting, some of the stand up, yes, as well. So when did I know storytelling, and oftentimes storytelling does include humor. So do you do just stand up as a standalone, so to speak, or
Yeah, I'm a stand-up comedian. I was a stand-up for years,
okay,
and I don't do stand-up in clubs like I did
right,
back
right,
then. But as a host of the Twisted, that's where I do my, you know, and stand-up. Really, I just get up there and I play with the audience. I do a back and
mhm,
forth. But my stories are funny,
right,
funny stories. I always am using humor because it's part of who I am. It's
right.
part of the way I see the world.
Hmm.
So this show has funny. I mean, you'll laugh one minute, cry it's menopausal. Okay.
Right. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Oh, somebody was saying, oh, have you considered live streaming? There's a jazz club that offers streaming tickets for their live shows, and I purchased that way.
Yeah. Well, we do stream Twisted.
Gotcha.
We stream that live show, and you can go to YouTube and
Yeah.
see it afterwards,
Okay.
or you can see the live stream, and you can see that free. We don't. In terms of this performance that I'm doing, we're creating a film specifically out of this, and we will then stream it on like a Tubi,
Okay.
Vudu, or something like that later on. But I do want it to take it to film festivals. I
Hmm.
would love for cons to take it,
Hmm.
give it, what it deserves.
Right. Yes, because there are definitely, a variety of different film festivals. I'm sure would be glad to have it, because it's an important story. I just put up the Twisted Tellers because that is,
Mhm.
your other platform that you
Yeah.
founded. Now, for those, and you mentioned that those things are streamed and people can watch it afterward.
Mhm. They
So,
can watch it afterwards or on the night of our show. Like
uh,
if you go to Twisted Tellers, you can it'll show the next show where you can buy tickets to the live, and then the stream will be posted. So
mhm,
it'll count down. You click and you can watch the stream wherever you are in the world. You
okay.
can watch the whole show.
Well, with the Twisted Tellers, since we're talking about that, so what is that platform kind of like? You have a certain number of people that you work with to tell their stories.
Right. It's a live curated event that we produce from February to June and then September to December.
Okay.
So it's a 10 monthly event. Once a month, we have a pre-selected theme. Like our last show was for Father's Day, Big Daddy.
Okay.
The show before that was Unsung Mothers. Curate 4 storytellers to tell a story on the theme. We have performances, musical performance, and dance performance, because dance and music are storytelling. We
Hmm.
have an audience of 350 people, and we tell the story live on stage. People wherever in the world can watch it in real time, and then on demand afterwards.
Mhm.
And the story, and it's every show is completely different. New storytellers, new performers, new theme, and people just come. You can get hooked on it, and that's what I want people to do.
Yeah,
Get
it sounds good. Unfortunately, you weren't doing it when I was still living in Detroit because I know I would.
You're going to come back and visit, right?
I am. Admittedly, so my dad was living there. He passed away 5 years ago. I haven't been back since, but I do plan to come back. Just so that
Well,
I
let me know so I can put you on stage.
oh, ooh. It's funny you said that because I was thinking that in the back of my mind. Like, wonder what story would I tell? Will
You
you
have
help?
a million of them.
Yeah, yes. And someone has told me, people say that to me all the time, and put your information about the show back up. Because I'm from Cleveland. I was in the Air Force for 7 years. I've lived a lot of different places.
Yeah.
I'm single. I don't have kids. So yeah, I got all kinds of
Oh
stories.
my goodness, you can come back again and again.
I got all kinds of stories I could tell, just depending on, what the topic is, living overseas and, a bunch of different places and stuff like that. So I would love to do it. So yeah, we can talk about that for sure. We can talk about that for sure. So everybody, once again, I have the information up there about confessions so that you can dial in and just the whole evening, Satori's information has been scrolling, so you can follow her on social media. You can get in on that YouTube channel and be able to watch some of the stories that are being told by a variety of people there. And then, of course, know what's going on with her specifically with this upcoming show. And I am so glad that our mutual friend, somebody's put me on blast. I'm waiting for my book.
Yay! Is it Cleta?
Cleta.
Don't let
Yeah.
us always lift us up and encourage us to do that thing.
Yes, that's true. And I, like you, I am naturally silly. So yeah, I can find humor in just about everything. So yes, I would be able to tell stories and have some levity, even in things that might not always be funny. So that is a gift, I know. So y'all, it's coming. I just got to slow down a little bit and make the time for it. So Satori, I am so glad that we had a chance to connect. That our mutual friend, Dr. Pam Perry, Detroiter, PR specialist, put us together so that
I love Marcie, Pam.
Yes, this is a love fest, and I definitely plan to come back to Detroit. Hopefully next summer, actually. But we'll be in touch, so figure out when that will be. But I really love what you're doing. I am a lover of all things art. As I was telling you earlier, of course, I do a book club stuff. A lot of times the people that I'm talking to are writers, but I am a lover of film. I'm a lover of music. I'm a lover of theater. Anything that's artistic or creative, I am a lover of. And you are actually a good introduction for me, and being able to bring in more people who are involved in other, areas of storytelling and history sharing and all of that. So I appreciate you so much.
I appreciate you too. And I thank you so much for having me on your show. I've had a ball.
Yeah.
It's like the time just flew by.
Yeah, because it's time. It's time now. So I am, yes, just somebody saying they love it. So yes, an author and a mom. Yes, we love it. We love these opportunities. And so everybody, I just want to thank you for being here with us tonight so we can have this great conversation and you can learn about the great work that Satori is doing there in Detroit and beyond. So we're really excited about that. And so family, I'm going to let you all go. And then I'm going to say a proper good night to Satori here in a moment. But I look forward to seeing you all again next week. I did not create a banner for it yet, but our guest next week is actually someone who is working on a documentary that talks about Black women's health. So it's kind of, we're going in a line here. She's talking about Black women's health in general, and just some of the things that she is doing for her own health and encouraging other women in that same regard. So we will be sharing that on next week. So
Right.
until then, everybody, I'm gonna bid you adieu. Satori, don't hang up yet. I'm gonna hang up on everybody else, but I want you to stick with me and
Thank
everyone
you guys
else.
for listening.
Yes, yes. And if you watch it later, please, follow and keep abreast of everything that is going on with Satori. So we do appreciate you, and we look forward to seeing you again real soon, fam. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.